I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling on my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready to cap off what has been a very exciting race weekend here in the Pocono Mountains at the Tricky Triangle known as Pocono Raceway. This is the fourth race of the 8th season. It's a great Duracell Next Gen Cup Series as we get set for what should be a race of strategy based off of what we saw yesterday in our Duracell Light Series race. We're going to see a lot of passing throughout the field, maybe not necessarily for the lead. I feel that's where pit road's going to come into play, but it is going to be a lot of fun to watch these drivers double wide, maybe on occasion even 3 wide. They tested the waters yesterday. I'm sure they'll test the waters here today. A little bit difference in the cars that they're running here in the Cup Series to what they're running in the Light Series. Here in the Cup Series, they've got that big rear spoiler. They've also got that extra gear that they can utilize, so they should be carrying a lot more speed down off the front straightaway into turn 1, more than likely down the back straightaway to the tunnel turn. So with that added speed means there's going to be added tire wear, and these drivers here today have just around the same fuel window as the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers did yesterday. The difference though, they have more laps that they will have to run. We ran yesterday with a total of, I believe it was 48 laps. Today, 64 laps on the board in the Hershey's Park 150. Getting ready here for what should be a good one, and a rookie gets the pole position. Summer Henson in the 78, of course, replacing Ryan Butcher over at Auto Junction Racing. Big shoes to fill, but good start here for her. Definitely something that's going to help her momentum because the first 3 races of the season have not been good at all. So far, a 37th place average finishing position, and she has only accumulated 17 points. Put that into comparison with Mike Tellier, who only made the Daytona 500 so far. He has 18 points accumulated. So it has been an absolutely atrocious start to the year for the young rookie. Maybe this pole position, good starting track position here today, can help her get her season turned around. Destin Bolin will line up to her outside. Destin, coming into this race, not much better in the point standings. He is only 38th in the point standings with an average finish of 29th place. Now, both Summer and Destin's qualifying numbers look really good in the first 3 races, but that just has not translated into good finishing results. Maybe here today at a track where track position is super ultra important, they will be able to have it translate, if not into a win, at least a solid top 5, solid top 10, begin their ascent up through the points. Benjamin Miles comes into this race the most consistent driver in the first 3 races. He has finished inside of the top 10 in all 3 starts, and he is your points leader subsequently. 6 points in hand over Jack Mitchell and a former Pocono winner, Joshua Osborne. Our Daytona 500 winner, Matt Haas, is 14 points back in 4th, and Cole Deaver sits 16 points back in the 5th position. We have had 3 different drivers go to victory lane in the first 3 races. Will we add a 4th? I can't wait to find out. Hope you guys are ready because we're going down trackside for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers,
Start your engines!
Just like what we talked about the transporter. At the end of pit road, the last pit box is a timing line. So the last white line on pit exit is the line. Big thumbs up, my friend. Have a good time.
Right side of your screen, you see your 42-car starting lineup. A name that you will spot in there that we have never seen before, making his Duracell Next Gen Cup Series debut. And the number 9 out of Haas Racing, Bryce Egan. And he will start up on the outside of row number 3, qualified his way into the field. And we saw a great top 10 run out of Craig Batson in his debut in the Light Series yesterday. Bryce Egan hoping to have that same type of luck here this afternoon. Got a few Pocono winners in our field here, including the defending winner of this race from one season ago, that being Levi McIntyre. Joshua Osborne, a former Pocono winner as well from season 6. Jose Mills attempted to qualify. He was the season 4 winner here, but he failed to qualify along with Autumn Brooks, Seth Cole, and Andrew Miller. It was Bryce Egan and former Duracell Next Gen Cup Series winner Benny Watson who qualified into today's event in those final 2 non-charter slots. Field makes their way through the final corner, turn 3. The lowest banked corner of the 3 here at this unique 2.5-mile speedway. And the pace truck, makes the left-hand turn to pit road. Summer Henson ready to get us underway. The Hershey Park 150 is green. Already 183 miles per hour going into turn 1, and that was just getting up to speed as Dustin Bolin gets the power down on that top side. He will take the lead. With James Qualls moving into second, Henson falls back into a battle for third, and Qualls wants the top spot through the tunnel turn. One thing I think we can expect to see here today, if you didn't tune into yesterday's Duracell Ultra Light Series race, it's going to be very difficult to make passes on the bottom, especially up towards the front. Top side is going to be king, and I feel that's going to be in all 3 corners today. If you're going to make a pass on the inside, you're going to have to do it on these straightaways, and you're going to have to do it before the corner. There's just not enough grip down there, especially with the speeds these drivers are carrying today. About 180 miles per hour for the Duracell Ultra Light Series. Top speed yesterday going down to turn 1. 202 miles per hour is what Dustin Bolin hit that time. James Qualls now in a fight for second place. Henson's found her way to the top of the racetrack. Austin LaPlante right there as well in the 48. Bryce Egan in the 9. Henson will swing around the top of the 70 of Qualls. She'll move back into the runner-up position. Look to set her sights to get back up there now to Dustin Bolin. Take the lead back. Draft going to play a huge factor into this race, especially on these long straightaways. Considering they have this bigger spoiler on the back of the car. They didn't have that last year. Qualls trying to reel Summer Henson back in. LaPlante right there as well. Good battle back here just inside the latter half of the top 10. Carson Gum, Eric Sadler, Nathan Ormond mixing it up. That's around the 8th, 9th position. Carson coming off that victory last week at Las Vegas. Good qualifying effort here today. Jumped up 16 spots in the points with his victory last week on the West Coast from 40th to 24th. And looking to continue to make the climb as he's side by side with Anthony McCrory. That's a former teammate from last season. Remember, McCrory and Nick Gunther's Mazdas were fielded out of Fortnite Squad Racing last year. now over with their own organization at Garage 55. And Anthony is one of a few drivers that are in this Cup Series race today that took part in the Duracell Ultra Light Series race yesterday. Anthony actually had a very good run in yesterday's Lights race, driving that all-star car for Garage 55, and right now holding down the 7th position, hoping the extra laps, extra experience will put him in good stead for today's Cup race. Some of the other drivers that took part in the Lights race yesterday, see a couple of them are actually right there. The 01 of Jack Mitchell, and just behind him, the 98 of RJ Bishop, who started that Lights race from the pole, ended up ultimately bringing it home inside of the top 5. Reggie Fogelman was the other Cup driver that took part in the Lights race yesterday. Trying to see where that 5 car is currently situated, and looks like he's back towards the rear of the field. Might be actually at the very rear of the field right now, according to scoring. 3 wide here into turn 1. Bishop on the bottom. That's Laura Chung in the middle. On the top side is our points leader, Benjamin Miles, who qualified around mid-pack. He'll pick up a spot there on Laura Chung. Matt McIntyre following in his tire tracks, along with Dylan Poteet. Best start that Benjamin Miles has been off to in his career, and you consider last year how he was mired down in the cellar of the point standings. This team has definitely turned things around during the offseason. Only driver to score a top 10 in all 3 starts so far this year. Levi McIntyre now to the inside of Nick Gunther. That would be for the 11th spot. McIntyre, the defending winner of this race. 2-time winner last season, looking for his first win this season. 10th in the point standing, so obviously a lot of regular season to go, but would be in a playoff position via points as things are currently situated, as we have a battle for the lead potentially brewing here. Summer Henson is closing up the gap on Destin Bolin. James Qualls is starting to follow with her. And a battle for 4th. Bryce Egan will now swing around the outside of Austin LaPlante. Cole Deaver now looking to the outside of the 48. Cole Deaver 5th in points coming into this weekend. Another driver like Benjamin Miles that had an absolutely atrocious season 7, and they've gotten it turned around here, at least for the start of season 8. Mazda looking good here in the early going. McCurry up to 7th. Nick Gunther not that far behind right now in 10th. The only 2 Mazdas in the field here this week. Autumn Brooks failed to qualify. She had a great run yesterday, though, top 10 in the Duracell Ultra Light Series race. As we drop a little further back, Dylan Poteet shading out of line against Matt McIntyre. That's for 16th place. Laura Chung and RJ Bishop just behind this, as well as our defending champion, Jessica Shelton. We always talk about here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, I should say. We haven't run enough seasons for the Ultra Light Series to know if this is a thing or not. But we always talk about the championship slump, the season after a driver ends up winning the championship. Well, not to say that Shelton's in the slump, but she's not had a good start to season 8. 36th in points, no top 5s, no top 10s, average finishing position of 29.33. She does have a pole this year, obviously, at Daytona, but looking to definitely get back to the form that she was at near the end of last season, which ultimately won her the championship. RJ Bishop pinned down there on that inside line, couldn't complete the pass on Laura Chung. Shelton will look to take advantage through turn 1, taking the higher but faster line around the racetrack. Bishop going to battle alongside her, heading down into the tunnel turn. We'll see who outbreaks who. And it looks like Bishop's just going to give up the spot before they even get to the corner. Dylan Young in the 2 car. Of course, we are here in the state of Pennsylvania. We're a far cry away, though, from Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. But Dylan Young and the We the Coasters sponsored machine with the Hershey Park Ride sponsorship. Storm Runner on the number 2 here this week. Dylan Young 8th in the point standings, 2 top 10s to start out the season, and right now just outside the top 10 and 13th, right behind the defending Pocono winner, Levi McIntyre. Saw James Qualls making a move there down the front straightaway. He's going to try it again on Summer Henson for second place. Not going to happen. Qualls a 3-time winner last season. 25th in points coming into this one after jumping up 12 spots in the standings last week at Vegas. And a lot of drivers, even as soon as Daytona, started thinking about the playoffs in terms of winning to either lock themselves in maybe top 10 in points or via one of the 6 available wildcard spots as Destin Bolin continues to show the way. It's been a bit of a winless streak for Destin. He's made the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, but remember back during his rookie season in Season 6, he went to victory lane 3 times to lock himself into the playoffs. Last year, a 0 in the win column, but he was consistent and pointed his way into the postseason. So, looking for a 3rd straight year to advance into the championship battle, but he'd love to get back to victory lane as well. And so far, we've had different representation of organizations and manufacturers in these first 3 races. It was Toyota with Matt Haas and Haas Racing at Daytona. At Manassas, it was Nathan Ormond for Michael Norman Motorsports in the Blue Ovals. And then last week, of course, Toyota with Fortnite Squad Racing at Carson Gum. Right now, a Ford and a Toyota running 1-2. Highest Chevrolet being James Qualls in 3rd. Highest Mazda, Anthony McCrory in 8th, and obviously Jessica Shelton, the only Dodge in the field. She right now is in 18th. Well, Bryce Egan looking really good here for Haas Racing. That's the good news. The bad news is the other 3 cars not looking all that great. If you look towards the rear of the field, Kyler Sustre, Reggie Fogelman, and Matt Haas are all running outside the top 30. So I don't know if all 3 of these Haas Racing drivers might be running the same identical setup and it's just not working, or if we kind of have to wait and see, because remember, yesterday in the lights race, we got into a long green flag run and we ended up seeing a lot of drivers at the front fade to the back, a lot of drivers at the back be able to work their way to the front. We're 13 laps in, well, about 12 and a half laps in to this initial start. You got to think tire wear is starting to come into play a little bit now at this point, but not as much as you would think. Looking right now at Destin Bolin's current lap times, he's only running about maybe 4/10 slower than laps he ran at the beginning of this race. So that's not a heck of a lot of fall off just yet. That time by, he only ran 2/10 slower than his fastest lap. We saw yesterday in the lights race upwards of a 2nd plus fall off in terms of lap times. So we haven't yet gotten to that point of the race where tires are coming into play, and those that have conserved those good years for the long run will start working their way forward. Levi McIntyre now in the 12th position in that 99 car. And Levi coming into this race currently situated in the 10th position in the point stands as we documented. Fuel window, if you weren't tuned into yesterday, as we said, is pretty similar to what it's going to be for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers yesterday. Is a nice late move there for McIntyre on Nathan Orman, trying to go for 11th place. They'll be able to go somewhere around 35 to 40 laps in a tank of fuel, which means that it will be a one-stop race, but they will have a longer run to the checkers in this one than they had yesterday. Yesterday, when they all pitted, they only had about 8 to 10 laps that they had to run. Here today, depending on when they come to pit road, they'll be looking anywhere of upwards of 20 to 25 laps that they'll have to run before receiving the checkers, as McIntyre tried the move on Ormond. It didn't work. Ooh, got really arrow loose there on the inside of turn 3. Dylan Young will swing around for a position. McIntyre will throw the block on Mitchell to stop the bleeding. Another of our former winners is way back here. That is Joshua Osborne in the 27. Last time by, he was scored in the 28th spot. Osborne third in the points coming into this one with 2 top 5s in the first 3 races. Only 6 points out of the points lead, but right now running quite a ways behind both Benjamin Miles and Jack Mitchell. Osborne now gets himself clear of Alexander Rowe. But Osborne, this is where he got his first career victory 2 seasons ago. I would love for Lightning to strike twice, be a 2-time Pocono winner, but he's got a lot of work to do between now and the checkers. Cody Lamas making a move there on the front straightaway. That is for 18th. Tried to see if we can get to left rear quarter panel of Dylan Poteet, Bass Pro Shops Toyota. Nothing doing. Cody will tuck back in line in front of Connor Breton. As we move our way further up to the field here again, a good battle going on there between Cole Deaver, Austin LaPlante, and not going to be able to complete the pass there. Rookie Bryce Egan now looking to the inside of James Qualls. That would be for third. Not going to be able to complete the pass there. James Qualls in that number 70 Wix Filters machine going to give us a lap around Pocono. Taking a look there, a little peek on Summer Henson for second place. Big run to her back bumper through turn 1 as Henson pulls right up to the bumper of Destin Bolin as well. Throw a blanket over your top 4 from Bolin back to Egan. Thought Egan might be looking there for third on Qualls, and Carson Gum, Anthony McCurry, Eric Sadler waiting in the wings. Good representation of our rookies here, at least in the early going, with Henson in second, Egan in fourth, and Eric Sadler holding down the 7th spot. The rookie points battle coming into this afternoon. Eric Monaco, 2 points over Eric Sadler. Daniel Bouchard sits third, 4 points out, and Summer Henson, 8 points out in fourth. Obviously, with missing the first few races of the season, Bryce Egan's going to be at a bit of a disadvantage as Summer Henson, oh, she was alongside, almost was ahead of Destin Bolin that time through turn 1. Bolin's going to hold her off, though. That was a great attempt, and now we're going 3 wide here. Qualls in the middle, Egan on the bottom, Henson on the top through the tunnel turn. We're starting to get racy up here again at the front of the field, as these drivers know that we're about halfway through a fuel run at this point in time. Carson Gum just was able to take advantage of Bryce Egan and move his way up into the 4th position. Eric Sadler looking to take it 3 wide back there with Egan and McCrory. Nathan Ormond further back looking for a spot on Cole Deaver. These drivers were kind of riding nose to tail for a few laps, but now they feel it's time to go. And, you know, you're probably wondering, well, why are these drivers bailing out of line to the inside knowing that probably the pass isn't going to work down there? Well, for 2 reasons. Number 1 is it's never going to work if you don't try. You've got to try it. The second thing is, you talk about that rear spoiler cutting such a window in the air, allowing for the cars behind to be able to get a lot of draft, get big runs on these long straightaways. You got to take that momentum somewhere. If you don't, you're just running into the back of the car in front of you, dealing with dirty air. If anything, you're at least getting clean air to the nose of the race car, and yeah, we may be getting tight down the bottom, but you're not getting nearly as tight as you probably are experiencing if you're running in the direct tire tracks of the car in front of you. And like that case there for Summer Henson, she almost got herself clear of Destin Bolin. If she doesn't try that, then, you know, you're just riding in second. You gotta at least make the attempt to try to advance your position, as Qualls will try to do just that. Will not work. He'll try and tuck back up in front of Carson Gum before Gum fills in that hole. Not going to be able to do it. Carson gets to his right rear quarter panel. We'll see if Carson can complete the pass here through turn 3. Carson right down on the door of James Qualls, not allowing him to get back to the throttle. That's risky, but it works. And Carson will move up into the podium. Carson Gum trying to be the first multi-time winner on the season, looking for back-to-back victories here in the first 4 races. As we take a look at what's coming up around the turn, we've been flip-flopping all over the United States, from East Coast to West Coast, back here to East Coast. Well, we're going back to the West Coast next week. We're going to be in the desert at Phoenix, as on Friday we kick things off with the Duracell Ultra Light Series Pole Day qualifying at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on Saturday, we've got the Cup drivers at 1 p.m. for their pole qualifying session. Following that, a couple hours later at 3 p.m., it is the 5th race of the season for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers in the Bosch's Supermarkets 94. And on Sunday at 1, it will be the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers ready to duel it out in the desert. That's a look at what's coming up around the turn, presented by NNSCRA Paint Designs. Destin Bolin so far has led the first 23 laps of this race. I would certainly hope that the Cup drivers, they paid attention to what happened in the lights race yesterday. Obviously, the drivers that took part, like McCrory and Mitchell and Fogelman and Bishop, they've got a little bit of an idea of what to do in terms of pit strategy, but a couple of things that I saw yesterday that I think was going to be the winning strategy maybe here today as well. Number 1, make sure that you are in the draft with at least somebody on your in-lap, because that means you will probably be in a draft with somebody on your out-lap. Number 2, come to pit road the soonest, because if you look back at the strategy yesterday that put Aubrey Powell in victory lane, she was in the draft of then-leader Skylar Taylor on her in-lap. When she came to pit road, it was 1 to 2 laps sooner than everybody else, with the exception of RJ Bishop. And when everything cycled around, she was the race leader, had the clean air, and was able to force everybody else to do something different, ran the line she wanted to run, had the lifting points she wanted to lift in, and was able to pick up her first checkered flag. Now, why didn't it work for RJ Bishop? Well, he came to pit road all by his lonesome at the start of the green flag pit stop cycle. When he returned to the racetrack, he had no one to draft with for 2 or 3 laps, and that hurt the lap times and hurt where he cycled around to. He was able to come back for a solid finish, but if you're a driver like Destin Bolin, I think you've got to have that in the back of your mind. You are out here, you are using up the most fuel. Yes, this is not a super speedway, but Destin Bolin does not have to adhere to anybody's braking zones. Everybody else behind him is having to check up for the cars in front of them. With that being said, while they may not be gaining position, they are saving fuel. Destin Bolin, with the fact that he is in the throttle a lot longer than anybody else with the benefit of that clean air, he is using up much more fuel, which means that he will probably have to be on pit road a lot sooner than everyone else behind him. We saw that yesterday when RJ Bishop dominated the first half of the Duracell Ultra Light Series race. The field is broken up here at the front. Eric Sadler in 7th currently has nearly 0.6 of a second back to the 8th place battle going on here. I don't know if these guys just were double file for a good portion of time, and so the top 7 were able to, in a single file formation, pull away. But you've got a pack of about 7 right here, from Deaver back to Benjamin Miles, and then there's another gap back to Matt McIntyre, Zachary Fitzwater, Jessica Shelton, and RJ Bishop. So the field has really gotten themselves super spread out at this point, which I think is going to make green flag pit stops and that pit stop cycle even more important. Jesse Turner back here leading this group, which looks like they will maybe mesh with the 4 drivers ahead of them. Turner with his teammate Eric Monaco, the rookie points leader, the defending Duracell Ultra Light Series champion. Looking back here at the tail end of the field, though, you've still got all 3 of those Haas cars. Matt Haas, our Daytona 500 winner, Reggie Fogelman, and Kyler Sustre. Also see back there Benjamin Snyder. Kyle Matthews has not been able to work his way up very high. He's started this race from, I believe it was the final row. Quentin Moore is mired back there, 3-time winner from last season. The defending Rookie of the Year, Casey Hoyt, is back there. Michael Norman, former champion Caleb Vogler. Benny Watson, who qualified his way in via the non-charter qualifying session yesterday afternoon. He's also mired back there in his first start of the season. A lot of drivers going to be relying potentially on that green flag pit stop cycle to get them track position. Now, a lot of people might be wondering about maybe a third potential strategy that we saw yesterday, where there were, I believe, a trio of drivers. I believe it was Mike Tellier and Reggie Fogelman. I'm trying to remember who the other driver was. They ended up all staying out a little bit longer. They all came to pit road about 2 laps later than everybody else and went with right sides only. Is that something that drivers could do to be able to gain track position? Well, yesterday was a very easy yes, because you only need to really be on pit road long enough to be able to put in a can of fuel to be able to make it 8 to 10 laps to the checkered flag. As I said here today, though, these drivers are going to be coming to pit road and they're going to have to make roughly about 22 to 24 laps. As Carson Gum able to get to the outside of Summer Henson, they almost made some contact right there in the battle for second place. But Henson is able to stay ahead of the 19. Nice job there. But going back to the point I was going to make, you're going to have to stay on pit road a lot longer here today on your pit stop in order to be able to get to the checkers. You're going to have to take on at least a can and a half. So I don't see anybody playing the long con, going with right side tires, because you're going to have to spend enough time on pit road anyway to put that can and a half of fuel, and you might as well bite the bullet and change all 4 tires. So I don't think we're going to see that strategy play out in today's Cup race. Carson Gum tried the top on Henson. Now he'll try the bottom into turn 1. Car looked like it rotated pretty nicely there through the center of the corner. He just couldn't get back to the throttle as soon as Summer Henson. And that's why he will keep Anthony McCurry behind him at least. And what an impressive day so far for Bryce Egan. We've talked about it. The last 3 seasons or so, the rookies have shown up and showed out. We had, I believe it was 4 or 5 rookies go to victory lane in season 6. Last season, of course, we ended up having all of our full-time rookies go to victory lane. Casey Hoyt with 3 victories. Connor Breton with 3 victories. Will Goss had 2. Kyler Sustre was a non-charter full-time rookie who had a victory. And Bryce Egan looking really good here today. First career start. And he is currently holding down a position inside of the top 5. Now, it will be a tough road for Bryce Egan, much like Autumn Brooks is having to deal with this season, like Kyler Sustre had to deal with last season, running full-time, attempting to qualify all the races, but on the flip side, non-charter, so having to rely on the speed each week to get in, and there are a number of races this season where we're going to have 3-4 drivers showing up to try and qualify in. Speaking of in, I believe Caleb Vogler is in on pit road, and this does not look like a regularly scheduled green flag pit stop. I'm not exactly certain what is going on with the 28. I believe he's now maybe leaving pit road. That is a very lengthy pit stop for the driver of the 28 car. Something maybe a little untowards there, and he is going to fall a lap down. So that is a tough break there for former champion Caleb Fogler. Fogler had hard luck last week at Las Vegas, dropped 14 spots in the standings, was 28th in points coming into this one, and he will for sure continue to free fall and may find himself outside of the top 30 in the standings when we get to Phoenix next week. We are fast approaching the fuel window for these drivers. If they came to pit road now, they would be able to make it the rest of the way, but I don't think you'll see anybody pull off that big of an undercut. Probably in the next 5 laps, we're going to see these drivers diving onto pit lane, and I feel like leader Destin Bolin is going to be the Pied Piper. I think he's going to be one of the first ones on the pit lane. In terms of fall off, we're starting to see it a little bit here towards the end of this run. About maybe 9/10 of a second to a full second of fall off here. Not nearly as much fall off as we saw with the lights drivers yesterday, though. As Anthony McCrory now going to get to the outside of Carson Gum, and he'll move into the 3rd spot. Anthony coming into this one, still searching for his first top 10 of Season 8, let alone his first top 5. 35th in the point standings coming into this one, and so I think that might have been a big reason why they put him behind the wheel of the All-Star car yesterday for Garage 55 in the lights race. He ran the top 5 for most of the day there, and everything he learned is translated over to a good run so far this afternoon in the Cup Series race. Anthony also holds the fastest lap turn so far today at a 50.016, translating to about 180.166 miles per hour. Normally, we end up seeing the fastest lap laid down by a driver mid-pack rear of the field who's gotten the benefit of a major slipstream. But Anthony, who's been up here inside of the top 15 the entirety of the day, he's the one that's got the fastest lap so far this afternoon. It has been all Destin Bolin out in front. He has led every lap so far. It was during the cycle green flag pit stops yesterday that we started seeing the lead changes. And I fully expect to see the same thing here today. All 42 cars still running. 41 of them on the lead lap. Caleb Fogler is currently a lap down. And the tough break for him is I don't think that he's going to gain track position when these drivers come to pit road, because that was a very lengthy stop on pit road. However, if you're kind of wondering about those fresh tires, what they can do for you, most of your leaders are running anywhere in the 52.1s to 52.3s. That last time around, 50.739 lap time for Caleb Fogler on those fresh Goodyears. So there is quite a bit to be gained on fresh tires. I mean, right there, I think Caleb Fogler was running all by himself, but he just ran 9/10 of a second faster than anybody else in the field. There he is in the 28 car, trying to see if he can at least latch on to the draft of the tail end of the field, which right now would be another of the Blue Oval Automotive cars, that being Benjamin Snyder's. So it's not exactly been a stellar day for BOA. Fogler a lap down, Snyder currently in 41st. Let's see where their other driver is currently situated. Fitzwater is 17th right now. And then, of course, Jose Mills, the 4th entry out of the team, failed to qualify yesterday afternoon. McCrory putting the pressure on Summer Henson for second place. Not able to make the move there. Got a little tight through the center of the corner. Loses some ground. Now he'll try and draft back up to the AC Delco Camry. At some point, we're going to see the hand out the window. We'll see if Destin, if he comes to pit road, if anybody else comes with him. Doesn't look like he's coming in this time. He'll run another lap. Of course, PTA physics here for the Cup drivers, CTS physics for the lights drivers. I'm not really certain on which side of the spectrum, though, that PTA physics are in. I know that Cup Physics, you can go the longest. GNS Physics have a little bit more fall off than Cup, and then CTS Physics have a lot more than the other two. I'm not sure exactly in that entire algorithm where the PTA Physics stand. I just know that the number we were given was 40 laps. These drivers can make it on fuel. Of course, the pace is back down quite a bit here the longer the run has gone on too, so that may have extended the initial fuel window that we were given at the top of the race. As Destin Bolin doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. He's going to continue to stay out, and he will complete lap 39 and put lap 40 on the board. Unless something drastically changes here, it looks like these 7 drivers are in pretty good shape to maybe be the ones in the conversation for this win, and all 7 of these drivers have, with the exception of Carson Gum, have not found victory lane. And look at some of the storylines we could have here with first-time winners. Summer Henson, Bryce Egan, and Eric Sadler, all looking for that first checkered flag. We talked about the rookies last year, how they were able to be very successful. Summer Henson got the pole position here today, and we could see a driver with rookie stripes find victory lane at the end of this one, based off of how the pit strategy goes. Last season, we didn't have to wait long. It was the second race of the year at Manassas when Casey Hoyt, the soon-to-then-be Rookie of the Year, ended up getting the checkered flag. It's Bryce Egan, Eric Sadler, side by side for the 5th position. Sadler will take the spot. James Qualls looking on in 7th place. Yesterday, we saw the points get shaken up. A lot of drivers that were struggling at the beginning of the year with some decent outings. Drivers that were up there at the top of the point standings, free-falling through the points. Here today, I think we're going to see the same thing. I mean, you look back here at some of the drivers and where they're positioned in the point standings coming into this afternoon. Joshua Osborne currently back in the 29th position, and he was 3rd in points coming into this one. Matt Haas currently back in 38th. He was 4th in the standings. We haven't said Ryan Brommer's name at all today. He's back in the 21st position after his runner-up finish last week at Vegas. He was 6th in points. Eric Monaco is mired back in traffic in 28th, and he was 7th in the standings. Benjamin Snyder was 9th in points, and he is currently running back in 40th. So there are a lot of drivers that are going to fall out of the top 10. Subsequently, I feel there are going to be some drivers that are going to fill in those spots inside of the top 10. One of them, I think, is going to be Eric Sadler, who is 13th in points coming into this afternoon. I feel like he's got a good shot of advancing up into the top 10 in the point standings. Outside of that, I'm not exactly certain who else. I mean, I look at Carson Gum. He's down currently in the 24th position in points. Anthony McCurry is 35th. Summer Henson, we already documented, down in 41st. Destin Bolin down in 38th. So I don't really know if there's really any other driver up here in this lead group anyway that will be able to capitalize on a good finish and gain enough points that would move them up into the top 10. James Qualls is 25th in points. Bryce Egan, obviously, this is his first start. But one driver that we got to definitely sing the praises of today that is trying to continue a streak is right there, and that is Benjamin Miles, right now holding down the 9th position, looking for his 4th straight top 10 to start the year, as I believe Charles Sanford there in the 03 has made a pit stop. And we've got more that are indicating they're coming to pit road, not from the lead group, but looks like maybe from a group further back somewhere. It's Kyler Sustre, actually. Sustre on pit road in the 4 car. And we're starting to see drivers coming to pit road here, just single car entries onto pit road. Sanford came down by himself. Sustre came down by himself. I know Sustre was running near the rear of the field. I didn't take the time to document where Charles Sanford was running, so we'll have to see when it all cycles around. This little bit of an undercut, nearing 20 to go. if this helps Charles Sanford in gaining track position with those fresh tires. Remember, fresh tires, even if you're not in the draft, is going to gain you anywhere from 6 to 7 tenths of a second. There you see Sanford back there. He's currently a lap down, so too is Kyler Sustre. They'll be back on the lead lap when everybody completes the cycle, as we got a number of drivers on pit road this time now. Cole Deaver, Austin LaPlante, Nick Gunther, Levi McIntyre. There's Shelton, Fitzwater, Watson, Ormond, Levi McIntyre, Matt McIntyre, Dylan Young, Chung, Poteet, Snyder, Brommer, Rowe, Quentin Moore, Matt Haas, Keith Batson, amongst all those on pit road. I think we're going to see our leaders more than likely coming in now. Yep, here comes Destin Bolin. Carson Gum in the 19. Ooh, I thought he might be staying out as he swung very wide there, but nope, all 7 drivers from this lead group, they're coming in. Benjamin Miles and Jack Mitchell back there. They're going to come down pit road also. Does anybody roll the dice and stay out an extra lap? Doesn't look like it. All the drivers that stayed out right there had already been to pit road. And let's watch this battle here between Summer Henson and Destin Bolin, who have the number 1 and number 2 pit stalls from qualifying on the front row. Let's see if maybe the number 1 stall is going to get Summer Henson the edge on the 0-2, or does somebody else maybe get the both of them? Eric Sadler down and away. Destin Bolin. Pit stop completed. Great pit stop for the 12 team. He might come out in second place. He and Summer Henson going to have to figure that out. Sadler's going to move into the runner-up spot when everything cycles around. That was a heck of a money stop for the Young Motorsports team. And now it will be Young Motorsports 1-2. Destin Bolin is still scored the race leader, and he more than likely will be when we come back around here too, as everybody behind him came to pit road. This will put Charles Sanford back on the lead lap. It'll put Kyler Sustre back on the lead lap. Sanford, just after passing that big group that came to pit road, that first group, he jumped up to 23rd. We'll wait and see where he is when everything cycles around here. He may jump up into the top 15. But look at the gap Destin Bolin was able to open up now. Back to his teammate Eric Sadler and Summer Henson. We'll see how much the draft comes into play here with 2 cars versus 1, if they're going to be able to reel Destin Bolin in for this race lead. Carson Gum gonna cycle into the 4th spot. Anthony McCrory is going to be 5th. Bryce Egan, he'll be 6th. And James Qualls is going to still be in the 7th spot. So your top 7 remain your top 7, just in a slightly different order from the start of the pit stops to the completion of the pit stops. Cole Deaver right now in 8th, Nick Gunther in 9th, and Austin LaPlante currently holding down the 10th position. How about Charles Sanford up to 12th behind points leader Benjamin Miles? So that short pit strategy worked out to his benefit. He's now up inside of the top 15 and looking for more on Miles going into turn 1. Doesn't find success there, tucks back in line. LaPlante to the inside of Nick Gunther. These drivers now with the fresh tires trying to do everything they can. Gunther got the wall right there off of turn 2. And LaPlante's going to try and go around him. We'll see how that contact affects Gunther for the remainder of this race. We'll see if we can take a look at his right side as he comes around. Doesn't look like it's too bad, but he definitely did brush the wall there through the tunnel turn. That bump where the tunnel goes underneath the racetrack and really upset the car. You'd have to think low tire pressures here for these drivers. Waiting for the tire pressures to pick up for what's going to be a slightly long run here. Saw some sparks coming off the right side of the machine, but it doesn't look like it's affected it too badly. He was able to not only bypass Austin LaPlante, but has opened up quite a gap on him. Speaking of gap, the gap now 2 seconds. Destin Bolin back to teammate Eric Sadler. Sadler has lost touch with Summer Henson, so those two tandeming together on the straightaway to try to close up the gap, that's not a viable option, at least at the moment. We'll see if the gap closes up this time by. It was 2.032 seconds last time by. This time by, looks like it's going to stay around the same as Destin Bolin with a slightly faster lap time. He ran a 50.499. Eric Sadler ran a 5.33. Not much in it, but enough that Destin Bolin's going to continue to maintain his gap. Destin Bolin has led every lap so far today. Even during the cycle of green flag pit stops, nobody stayed out a lap past the 02 to be able to snag that bonus point. So Destin Bolin may be very stingy with the lap-led bonus points here this afternoon. And you consider what Destin Bolin had to go through during the offseason. He's still with Young Motorsports, but he did undergo a team change. Destin Bolin, for the previous 2 seasons, drove the number 12 car that now rookie Eric Sadler is behind the wheel of. This is actually the 11 team from last season when Will Goss put that car in victory lane twice. So Destin Bolin had to go over to a brand new team, bunch of new crew members. A little bit of a learning period again for Destin Bolin. Yes, same organization, but an entire team swap. And we kind of have seen the effects of it here so far in the first 3 races, with not yet a top 10 scored. But he has absolutely dominated here today. Qualified on the outside of the front row, utilized that to his advantage to swing around pole sitter Summer Henson, and has not looked back. That time by, he and Eric Sadler ran almost identical lap times. The top 3 almost ran identical lap times. A 6.45 for Sadler, a 6.47 for Henson, a 6.48 for Destin Bolin. 0.03 of a second difference amongst your top 3. And we may have a good battle here for second place brewing. Carson Gum is reeling in the rookies in second and third of Sadler and Henson. And this all taking place 2 seconds behind Destin Bolin. Young Motorsports would love a 1-2 finish here at Pocono. Ford going to be looking for its second straight trip to victory lane and 3rd win in the last 5 seasons. Still got some time, though, for those drivers back in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to maybe be able to draft up to the 0-2. If this were the lights race yesterday, race would have already been concluded. But the extra lappage here this afternoon, giving drivers an opportunity to maybe still make a fight out of this thing before the checkered flag waves. This time by 11 laps to go at Pocono. Nearly wrapping up this weekend here in the Pocono Mountains, and next week we head to Phoenix, as we'll be duking it out in the desert. We kick things off on Friday with pole day qualifying for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Saturday, we got the Cup drivers on track for pole day qualifying at 1, and at 3 p.m. it's the Bosch's Supermarkets 94, 5th race of the season for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers. Sunday at 1 p.m. will be the Cup race to cap off that race weekend. Gap continues to increase for one Destin Bolin as the battle is on for 3rd. Couple of Toyotas, Carson Gum on the offense, Summer Henson on the defense. Going to be really good points days, though, for drivers that absolutely needed it. Summer Henson, Anthony McCrory, and race leader Destin Bolin all came into this race outside the top 30 in points. They're all going to score their first top 10s on the season as well. For Carson Gum, going to be some continuation of momentum from his victory last week with back-to-back top 5s. And for Eric Sadler, what has been a tremendous start to his rookie year. is going to score another top 10, and he will more than likely move into the top 10 in overall point standings as well. He came into this race 40 points out of the points lead in the 13th position. Bryce Egan taking a look there on Anthony McCurry. What more can we say about this rookie? Made a statement out-qualifying veterans like Jose Mills and Seth Cole yesterday in the Bowl Day qualifying session. His first career start today from 6th place. Right now looking like he may finish in 6th position as well. Trying to get around Anthony though, maybe to score first career top 5 in only his first start. But been very, very impressive here today, and I feel like we'll be saying his name a lot more during the course of this season, as he is officially going to be running full time and attempting to qualify for every single race this season, albeit in a non-charter capacity. James Qualls trying to hold on to the 7th position. Cole Deaver has been able to reel him in. Deaver looking for his 3rd top 10 on the season. Great start to the year for him, James Qualls. Another driver that has kind of struggled a little bit out of the gate here, the beginning of Season 8. Looking to climb up through the point standings with a solid outing here. Nick Gunther trying to have both Mazdas finish out the day inside of the top 10. As he's currently in the 9th spot, and Austin LaPlante, another driver who really needed a good run today. Solid top 10 performance for the driver out of Northeast Motorsports. 39th in points coming into this race, looking for his first top 10 on the season. We've had an exchange for 3rd. Summer Henson got caught out in turn 3. Carson Gum went around her to move up onto the podium. Now he sets his sights on 2nd place with Eric Sadler. But consistently, these drivers are losing sometimes 100ths, sometimes 10ths of a second to race leader Destin Bolin every single lap. Destin Bolin just hitting his marks. He's got clean air to the nose. He's laying down some really, really good lap times as well. And he has just had a rocket ship out of the gate. As this time out of turn number 3, he'll make his way to the start-finish line. And it will be 6 laps to go here at Pocono. Carson Gum for 2nd on Eric Sadler. If he makes the pass, that's one thing. If he doesn't make the pass, Summer Henson's not close enough to capitalize. Carson will be able to tuck right back in line in 3rd, which he will do so right here down the Long Pond Straight. Well, obviously, very early on in the season. This only the 4th of 26 races that we will have until we put the playoff grid together. But Destin Bolin, provided he closes out the deal here today, will more than likely, I think, move into the top 30 in the point standings. He was only 12 points below that said cut line coming into this afternoon. So he would be in one of the wild card positions heading into next week at Phoenix. Carson Gum, depending on whether he finishes 2nd or 3rd, he may move up into the top 10 in points. Matt Haas may fall out of the top 10 in points, so it looks like we may end up having 2, maybe 3 drivers outside of the top 10s with wins that would fill up half of the wild card positions available, and obviously a lot more racing to go. Expect a lot more different winners as well before we eventually take the checkered flag in the regular season finale at the Auto Club Speedway. Carson Gum again going to try for the 2nd spot on Eric Sadler. He's already got the victory. He's now looking for points. We saw last year drivers that went to victory lane didn't necessarily lock them into the postseason. Levi McIntyre came up just 1 point short of clinching the final wild card position against Zach Rogers. So while it may not seem all that important here today at this moment, at this point in time, you go to Auto Club and say Carson Gum misses out on advancing into the playoffs via a wild card spot by 1 point. It could have been this race right here, his inability to be able to get around Eric Sadler finishing third instead of second. We don't often think about these races at the beginning of the season, but they play just as much a part into the outcome of who's going to be battling for the championship as the regular season finale itself does. Now, Pocono has brought about 2 very good races here this weekend. The fuel strategy race yesterday, seen Summer Henson picking up the victory. Destin Bolin has absolutely dominated here today out in front. Not to say he hasn't been without challengers, but we have seen a lot of passing through the field as well. We're not always going to have a race where everybody is going to have a hard time holding on to the race lead. There are going to be races this season where there will be an outlying driver that absolutely dominates during the course of the day. But the ability to pass has been there. We have seen it with drivers being able to work their way from the back, middle of the pack, up to the front. And Pocono has a couple of times almost been on the chopping block on the schedule. It actually was the 25th race of the season for a number of years, the next to last race of the season before the playoffs were put together. But then it was moved up here to the top of the schedule as the 4th race weekend, and last couple of seasons is not disappointed in terms of the action during the course of the race. And, you know, it got to the point where, you know, back in the early days, I loved it when we had Wreckfest, because then it came down to survival, a lot of parity as to who was going to be ending up eventually getting into the playoffs and battling for the championship, and who ultimately would win the championship during the postseason, as white flag is displayed over the hood of Destin Bolin. But now gotten to the point where I like seeing these long green flag runs and seeing the best car ultimately at the end of the day reap the rewards with the checkered flag, which Destin Bolin is looking to do. That gap actually closed up a ton that lap alone. He had over 2 seconds between himself and Eric Sadler. It got closed up to only a second now. But the problem is, for Sadler and Carson Gum, time has run out. Only a couple more corners for Destin Bolin as he'll make his way through the tunnel turn. You see the gap visibly closing up there with Bolin and Carson Gum. If they had one more lap, it might have made a difference. They made the move just a little too late. Out of turn 3 for the final time. Destin Bolin finally going back to victory lane for the first time since season 6. Bolin takes the checkered flag here this afternoon in the Hershey Park 150. 1-2 finish for Young Motorsports as Eric Sadler is going to bring it home in P2. Carson Gum back-to-back finishes on the podium in back-to-back weeks after his victory at Vegas. He'll bring it home in 3rd place. Summer Henson starting on the pole will bring it home in 4th. And Anthony McCrory, solid weekend for him. A top 10 run yesterday in the lights race. A top 5 run here this afternoon in the Cup race. Bryce Egan in his debut will net 6th position for his first career start. James Qualls, Cole Deaver, Nick Gunther, Austin LaPlante will be the top 10. Destin Bolin, 3-time winner in his rookie season 2 seasons ago, driving the car that's right behind him, Eric Sadler's number 12. Advanced his way into the playoffs in his rookie season. Last year pointed his way into the playoffs. And this season back in victory lane looking for his 3rd straight appearance in the championship battle. I believe everybody has crossed the start-finish line. We had all 42 cars finish this race and on the lead lap. But to that end, a lot of drivers going to be leaving Pocono with a less than stellar finish and leaving with less than acceptable points as well. We gave you the top 10. Benjamin Miles almost kept the streak going, almost became the only driver to have 4 top 10 finishes in the first 4 races. He's 1 position shy as he will finish in 11th. Dylan Young going to finish in 12th place, as that'll be 3 of the Young Motorsports cars that finished up at least inside of the top 15. Jessica Shelton, good run there for the defending champ, and she'll be 13th. Levi McIntyre, the defending winner, will get 14th. Nathan Ormond will finish in 15th place. Then Matt McIntyre, Jack Mitchell, Laura Chung, Charles Sampras, Zachary Fitzwater. That was your top 20. Cody Lamas 21st, Joshua Osborne in 22nd. Benny Watson worked his way up through the field after he was riding at the back most of the beginning of this race. He'll finish up in the 23rd spot. Dylan Pote 24th, RJ Bishop in 25th. I expected to see a lot more out of him after the strong run he had in the lights race yesterday, but we never really saw the 98 anywhere further up than around maybe inside of the top 15 in the early going of this one. Quentin Moore 26th, Keith Batson, Daniel Voiles 27th and 28th, Daniel Bouchard and Ryan Brommer completing the top 30. Matt Haas in 31st, Eric Monaco 32nd. 33rd was Connor Breton, Alexander Roback in 34th, Jesse Turner 35th, Casey Hoyt, Kyle Matthews, Benjamin Snyder, Reggie Fogelman, Michael Norman, Kyler Sustre, and Caleb Fogler were the remainder of the field. Pretty much from around Matt Haas on down, those drivers that just got mired in the back and never could make their way forward. Not even pit strategy appeared to help them out in gaining any type of track position. So a tough break for them. All of those drivers for sure going to take a blow in the point standings, regardless of where they came into this afternoon's race. And Caleb Fogler had that extended stay on pit road, which is why he finished the day out in last. But as I said, all 42 cars finished out this afternoon on the lead lap. So that is going to do it here from this weekend at the Pocono Raceway. Destin Bolin picks up his 4th career victory and first on the season here in the Pocono Mountains. It'll be interesting to see here what the point standings look like. I think they're going to get shaken up quite a bit in preparation for next week's weekend when we are in the desert at the Phoenix Raceway. But thank you all for tuning into this afternoon's race here from Pocono. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and become part of the crew today. We have shown you your full feature results, and you are now looking at the said point standings as a result of today's event, heading into Phoenix next week. Should be a good one as we duke it out in the desert. The lights drivers and the cup drivers will both be there. Hope to see you there as well. But until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.